Awkward. The gay MAGA lieutenant governor candidate John Reid campaigned in Waynesboro with the Pete Buttplug guy. Remember him? Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. So the former Waynesboro vice mayor in question, Jim Wood, guy who got himself in trouble a couple years ago for calling former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg Pete Buttplug when he was on a podcast. He was photographed this week, this Jim Wood guy, sitting uncomfortably beside John Reid, the openly gay man running for lieutenant governor as a Republican in Virginia this year. This is going to end really well for the MAGAs, you can just tell. Reid, for his part, did not look comfortable in the photo either. Photo taken by news leader, staff writer, Lighter Bordelon. Why would John Reid be? Would the aforementioned gay bashing former vice mayor, he's still on the city council in Waynesboro for another few months. He's also the local Republican Party chair here in Waynesboro. He didn't exactly walk back that gay slur of Pete Buttigieg back in 2023. If you remember that, here's the quote that he eventually gave. The constant political attacks and threats on me by certain groups have been nonstop since the election. This was literally like 2 months since the election at this time. And I'm honestly sorry that my words were hurtful to some. This was after he had issued another statement dismissing the use of the slur as a play on Pete Buttigieg's name only. More from the quote from Jim Wood from back at that time. I hope people take the time to see through this political theater to know that I have nothing but the best of intentions. So this was one of those apologies where you reference constant political attacks and threats. Threats are when people who supported you during the campaign, as was the case with someone who supported Jim Wood, actually talk openly on a extremist group forum about wanting to kill you. That's was something that happened to me. Not whatever he's claiming were threats. In the political theater. The political theater is a guy who, okay, let's just talk about the political theater. This was a guy who probably is regretting that he ran for and won the city council seat back in 2022 because he was having all kinds of fun with a Facebook podcast that he did for several years leading up to that, where he did all kinds of fun things with his fellow MAGA folks. Right before the election, it came to our attention that he had done one of his podcasts where he made headlines, eventually because of me, for homophobic comments directed at Paul Pelosi, the husband of the then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You might remember the story involving Paul Pelosi. Didn't even know, I didn't know his name until this particular incident, the home invasion hammer attack that he endured. A gentleman who ended up being a MAGA sycophant broke into the Pelosi house in San Francisco in overnight hours right before the 2022 midterms and beat him with a hammer, beat Paul Pelosi with a hammer, causing significant injuries. Wood had fun with this, asserting that the attack was a quote domestic dispute perpetrated by a quote male prostitute and advocate for Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ. That's the quality of person that this city elected to be the vice mayor. Quote, both in their skivvies and both had a hammer. Nothing to see here, huh? How about that? Yeah, funny how that works. Paul Pelosi didn't have a hammer. Paul Pelosi had been woken up in the middle of the night, which is why he's in his skivvies. I don't know about anybody else, but you sleep kind of, you sleep. Um, Later in the political attack on the podcast, this Wood guy offered what he called a quote dad joke. The best dad joke I've heard in a while has been floating around today. He said right before that incident, Nancy Pelosi, she texted Paul to say, I hope you're not drinking and driving. And the reply was, no, I'm just staying at home getting hammered. Hilarious, right? This is the guy that was sitting beside John Reid, the lieutenant governor candidate on the Republican side. Can't be easy for Reid to have to schlep for votes for a guy. Beside a guy, excuse me, who thinks his very existence is a joke. Now, according to a report in the news leader, it got really awkward. The discussion at the campaign stop in Waynesboro included what had to have been a torturous sidebar for all involved, if anybody knew anything about these two guys. On gay marriage, in which Reid made clear that he supports a repeal of the state constitutional amendment passed in 2006, which was made moot by the 2015 Supreme Court decision overturning bans on gay marriage. But this state constitutional amendment is still in the books in Virginia. There have been efforts to get it off the books for several years. Republicans have opposed for some reason, even though, again, the whole thing is moot. Here's the quote from Reid from Monday in Waynesboro. Everyone needs to be left alone to live as they want to live. To me, that seems very American and very fundamental. Maybe that's when there. If you go to my website, I have a link on the website. Actually, I have the photo. We have a screenshot of the photo where these two guys look like they'd rather be anywhere else than beside each other in this room. This is probably when this particular discussion is probably when that photo was snapped. Reid, I just want to give you some background. He's had to fight for his political existence since being named the Republican lieutenant governor candidate back in April. Governor Glenn Youngkin enlisted his minions to try to persuade Reid to jump off the ticket using what appears to be dirty tricks inspired by Nixon's plumbers in the form of social media account that was set up under a username that had been associated in the past with Reid, and this social media account was used to post gay porn uh, as an attempt to discredit Reid and get him to drop out of the race. This prompted Reid to respond that the Virginia GOP is, quote, a corrupt political machine that's been hindering Virginia's success for years. That's what I said, this is going to end well. Reid said, I'm a conservative Trump supporter and I'm gay, and everyone knows it because I've told you in person and in the media for decades. He also said, and this was in an April video response to all this pressure from Youngkin's folks, I'm the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor. I'm more transparent. I'm more conservative. I'm tougher than any of my detractors. And I'm not going anywhere except to get back on the campaign trail, win this election, and take these people to court. He had to sit beside a guy who called Pete Buttigieg Pete Buttplug. This is fun. You can't make this up.